Hello ladies and gentlemen, Green here, and some of you might not be aware of this fact, but a few months ago the Ingest2 Mobile official Discord did a poll where they asked like, guys, what new character would you like to see in the game? And that poll had 3,255 votes, and they got some pretty interesting results. So you wanna know what they did with it? Absolutely nothing. So far at least. So this video on one hand serves a little bit as a reminder for the fact that that list was made and they didn't keep count yet of it, and on the other hand a little bit of an informative thing for the people that missed it or never heard of it. And in today's video we are going to do top 5 characters that the community wants, where we will talk about the top 5 characters most voted in this poll. And at the same time we will take a look at the characters that we already have in the game, and we will see on which character models they can be built. Because while there are some characters in the game that get 100% new models, for example Shazam, most characters that are newly introduced into the game, like when the multiverse characters were introduced with the multiverse Captain Cold and multiverse The Flash, are built on an archetype that is already in the game at the time of the characters appearing, with small tweaks and changes in terms of skill and stuff like that. So while there's still a possibility for characters to be added with their own model, as we have seen and we keep seeing, there is also much easier for them to implement them on an already available model in the game. So we will take a look at that also. So with all that being said, leave a like, a comment and subscribe down below. Dislike it if you dislike it, maybe hit that bell button to get notified for every single upload, and let's get into it! So first up on the list will be Killer Frost, which ended up in the 5th place with 767 votes. And also in total, even those 5 characters have more votes than the amount of people that voted in total, that's because you had more options to vote in that, so getting that out of the way. So to be honest, I didn't really know much about Killer Frost. First of all, I didn't even know she was a chick, because I'm not the best guy in terms of DC lore, but I have documented myself, and as I have seen, she also has a show, so that might have been a pretty big influence in the voting. And if she is to be introduced, will be most likely the show variant of it. And as far as I have seen in the show at the very least, in terms of combat, she makes ice. She makes stuff with ice. She makes armor out of ice. She makes projectiles out of ice. She can freeze people. She can use ice to make her borderline fly or something like that. Yeah, she likes ice. Let's leave it at that for now. That would be a pretty cool character, a pretty interesting character. Mechanics could be like a frost armor, which gives her defense for a certain duration. Something similar to what Multiverse Captain Cold has with his passive when starting the fight. Also, the projectiles are going to be pretty interesting. She's going to be an overall pretty flash character if they do that. And in terms of character model, I'm not so sure for this one, because we don't really have anything like her. A pretty modelable character in terms of that might really be Starfire. Because Starfire is going to be a character that is going to have projectiles, is going to have some neat jump attacks, and you can take the Starfire base model and change the animations, so you make it kind of look like Killer Frost or something like that. I don't know. This is the closest we can get in terms of versatility, and in my opinion the Starfire model is going to be a pretty versatile model overall to work with if you're implementing new characters. If not, of course, give her a whole new bundle, and as I have said, in terms of abilities, it could be pretty much anything. It would be nice to see some ice armor, it would be nice to see some ice projectiles. Overall, an interesting character that I did not know yet about, but not really a character I'm looking forward to that much, to be honest. Again, no hate for the Killer Frost fans out there, I just didn't watch it yet. Might be a very good what's the word? Series. It might be a very good series, but I just don't have time for that, unfortunately. She had 767 votes yet again, and with all that being said, let's get to the number 4. Not gonna lie, number 4 is one I'm excited about. We have a number 4 Batman Who Laughs. with 995 votes. And for those of you who don't know who Batman Who Laughs is basically a Batman from an alternate universe that killed Joker, or Joker died near him or something like that. Please don't kick me on the balls in terms of lore, because I'm not extremely good at that. And when Joker died, it liberated a toxin that infected Batman, and it basically made a combination between Batman and Joker, and that thing is so dark to the point where it turned the Robins into some undead ghouls, and it keeps them as pets. So overall, this is going to be a pretty damn dark character, and if they're implementing the model, they can go actually two ways. First of all, they could use the Joker model, because the Joker was going to be pretty smooth and pretty interesting to use with that knife. They can easily model it off of this and change the abilities. But there's yet another thing, as I have said, it has pet robins and stuff like that, and demons, and it's overall dark. It has a little bit of a supernatural power tied to it. So in that case, Suicide Squad Enchantress base model might actually be a pretty good base model to start on, because she also fits this dark oriented theme. But as I have said, this is a very interesting character that I'm very excited about. Most likely will be an arcane character, and it's going to be most likely a fan favorite character, a character that can really get people to playing him and enjoying him. And as I said, it will be a dark theme centered around some arcane powers, towards summoning demons and stuff like that, towards chains. I think he uses chains pretty often, and as I said, it's both good if you do it on the Enchantress model or on the Joker model. It received yet again 995 votes, and with all that being said, let's move on to the next one. Coming in at number 3, we are going to have Deathstroke with 1053 votes. And it's going to be pretty easy and at the same time pretty hard, because it kind of needs two characters to work along with. So as far as I know, in terms of lore, please don't be too harsh on me on this if I get something wrong. Deathstroke is going to be a character that trained with Ra's al Ghul. So Blademaster Robin, which is the son of Batman, also trained with Ra's al Ghul. And Deathstroke is going to use a long-range sniper, and at the same time he's going to be using a sword. So the actual best option would be to use the Suicide Squad Deadshot base model in terms of the animations, and also mix in some Blademaster Robin sword animation and make him swap between weapons and when he is going to attack. In terms of abilities, I don't really know. Make him use at the same time the sword and the sniper that he has, and there's really not much to it. Maybe make him inflict some damage over time on the opponents, like a bleed or something like Manta has. A pretty interesting character that I would like to see, though I'm not very sure how good it will turn out, because if it's built on Suicide Squad Deadshot model, I'm not going to be excited for it myself, because I don't like that specific model. They need to make a perfect mix between the sword fight and long range fight for me to truly be able to appreciate it. So with all that being said, let's get on to the number 2. Coming in at number 2, we had Martian Manhunter. For those of you who don't know, Martian Manhunter is one of the OG members of the Justice League team. He can go through walls, as far as I'm aware. He can read the minds of whoever he wants. And more cool stuff like that. He can transform into stuff like metamorphosis when needed, but at the same time he's got a very fragile psychic, and he can sometimes not control how many thoughts he reads at once, so that can pretty much get in the way. In terms of transforming into different things, I'm not sure they have the engine to implement it on this game, but in terms of the other things and in terms of the overall vibes, he's floating, by the way, so the character, in order to be 100% accurate, would need to float. So, and he also has a cape, so characters with cape that float are going to be Black Adam. Though he has lightning, so I'm not sure the basic attacks of him would fit. or the other option would be the base model of Dr. Fate. I think Dr. Fate would be a more appropriate option if they are to do something with a model that already exists or something of that sort. If they're to build a separate model, I have no problem with that. Just make him feel not so strong in terms of raw hits, because that is not where his powers are going to be. At the same time, in terms of his actual abilities and powers, it would be nice if it had a passive that would kind of predict the AI, try to give you some sort of a warning when the AI is about to tag out, or when it's thinking about tagging out, or try to give you some sort of warning when on which ability the AI is preparing to launch next. That would be a very interesting twist and will lead to some very interesting gameplay, but yet again, I'm not sure if that can be implemented. So this guy was at number 2. With that being said, let's get to the number 1. Up at the number 1 with 1,267 votes, we have Raven. Raven, I'm not sure which Raven, though most likely the Raven from Teen Titans, maybe the Raven from Injustice 1. It doesn't really matter either way, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a sorceress that is going to float, sorceress or witch, however you want to call it. I think sorceress is the more polite way and the more accurate way. So yeah, she's going to be floating basically. She's going to be casting some dark magic. She's going to do some rituals in order to summon dark energies, dark spheres, dark projectiles and stuff like that. I think her dad is like the devil or something like that, or something close to it, but a very strong villain anyway. So in terms of his abilities, I think there is a very easy way to go around it, and we are going to go back to the Starfire base model, because Starfire is going to be a character that will float, that will use rays of energy, that will use balls of energy. So you can easily turn that into something that is much more dark and much more arcane-y, let's say. And I never understood why Starfire is an agility character, by the way. So anyway, Raven would be a very interesting character to introduce, and maybe with her introduction we can get a rework on other characters that are already in the game, and maybe make something like the Teen Titans League, and with synergies in between them. That would be very interesting. And we would also need to have Beast Boy introduced. Beast Boy was unfortunately not even on this list. So yet again, Raven, 1,267 votes. With all that being said, this was everything for this one. This was just basically a reminder of the poll that happened for those of you who forgot, or for those of you who didn't really see it, and my thoughts on how you could implement those characters in the game if you were to. And by far, I'm the most excited for Batman Who Laughs and for Raven. With all that being said, thank you very much for watching. Leave a like down, a comment, a subscribe, hit that bell button, and if you dislike it, feel free to dislike it, of course. This was Silvalagrim, and I'll see you in the next video.